Tell us about the kinesiology test again, Tam. Do that for
Yeah,
us.
yes, my kinesiologist chiropractor many years ago, Dr. Gene Bradenberg, taught me the trick of doing muscle testing, and it's just taking your ring finger and your thumb and pulling on it. And if it's a yes, it's a strong yes, and it doesn't break apart easily. It's a strong yes because our body knows. And so I do that a lot lately.
If it doesn't break apart, it's a strong yes.
If it doesn't break apart easily, it's a strong yes.
I love that. Yeah. You know, my chiropractor taught me that years ago, also, Dr. Kowalski, and I had forgotten about that till just now. Thank you for that. No, that's a great little trick
Yeah.
to kind of pull out.
It is because it's like the body instantly knows, so you can trust your own body.
You know, it's funny that you're talking about like having, like a motorcade and having military surveillance and, people making sure things are quote unquote safe. So this past week, I was getting ready to head to my acupuncturist and I couldn't get on the parkway. Like, I couldn't get on the freeway. I couldn't get on the parkway either direction. And I was like, what's going on? And I was a bit annoyed because I had an appointment and I had my whole day scheduled around this appointment. So I'll admit my frequency, my field was that of like frustration. And I was like, oh God, this has to be like a motorcade. Like, who's in town that they had to shut down like everything around the city, you
Uh-huh.
know? Sure enough, I call my acupuncturist, I apologize, and he says that he thinks that it's paving work that they're doing. And I'm like, this is beyond that, Gil. Like, this is shut down. And I thought motorcade, but I was not in a high vibration it was like an annoyance vibration when I said motorcade. It
Right.
was actually a triathlon, and
Oh,
they needed the parkway for the bikes.
gotcha.
And it was like, so I didn't even like check in with myself, right? I immediately went to my head, which was not a great frequency to go to because it resulted in a lot of annoyance.
Right.
And intuitively, I know better, but sometimes as a human in the moment we don't always do better. So it's a great reminder about what's ours, what isn't ours. What else do you use that for, Tam?
Oh, I use it for everything from what food to pick out because I'm a tourist, so my food is very I used it just today for lunch.
I love it. You were like, yeah, I want a little bit of this and a little bit of that. What should I really have?
Right, exactly. So I don't know if it was the best choice, but it was a cleansing choice. We'll just say that. It was a lot more fruits and vegetables than I would have normally had, you know.
Oh, good, Tam. Probably because you knew you were going to be with me today.
Probably.
So let me ask you this, Tam. In terms of intuitive communication with our own bodies, with our guides, with our loved ones that might have transitioned, how does our body affect communication?
Well, we have those little things called fine hairs. And we can feel their energy and presence around us if we're really in a place to receive it. Our hair might stand on, and I've been feeling a lot of touch from the angels lately because I've been calling on them, right? And we can feel their energy merge next to ours. So the body is a great barometer to when there's angels around. You'll feel the tingles in your arms and legs, and when they're near.
And some people, everybody experiences it a little bit in their own unique way, right?
Absolutely. some people get taps on the head, you know.
Yes. So
Um,
some people get God goosebumps. I've had those. That was something that you taught me about, the God goosebumps, like that, feeling kind of the tingly, the goosebumpy, that, the one of the really cool things that I have learned about the body is that it will give responses, and it could also be the frustrating side of the body, that
Absolutely.
it will give responses that it wants to give that we have no idea where that response came from.
Right. Well, in the aspects of fight or flight, it's like that need to get out of someplace before, our intuition will tell us to get out of somewhere and we find out later why, you
Yes.
know, in
Yes.
20, but yeah, we are far more intuitive and we use our intuition on a daily basis, I think far more than we realize. In the protection mode that we're all feeling collectively right now, I think it's just a little bit more challenging. That's why it's so important to talk to friends like this of like, how are you feeling? Are you feeling like this today? Yes, this too shall pass. Because,
Mhm.
it's just like, oh, I never thought of that. I was talking to my friend at lunch today and I'm like, because she's like, yesterday was just intense. I said, wasn't it though? I said, I did a muscle test on it and it was because Trump's coming to town and just the collective, like I said, when you have military jets flying over. I had a dream last night that military jets were dropping parachutes from the sky. It's just like we have all this subconscious response to our past lives, you know, our influence from movies and television. I mean, my Red Dawn dream last night, it's just was triggered by military jets going, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So
it's interesting. Yeah, that unconscious response sometimes that we have situationally, especially as we're moving deeper into, I think, the greatest transition that we as humans have ever made. Like in terms of looking at systems, regardless of if we support them, believe in them, trust them, independent of all of that, intuitively, the communication that we have amongst each other as humans living at this juncture in time in 2026 is like, wow, these systems have to change or they have to go.
right,
And that dissonance, if you will, of a very firm line, and there's this right answer and this wrong answer, is
right,
some of the fallacious beliefs that have been driving a lot of our anxiety as humans since, 2020. And we all know the polarization that happened after that traumatic event for us.
and we're still dealing with it. The polarization of that incident, it's still everything every families and friends are dealing with. You know, there's definitely time to come together more than ever, and it's now.
Yeah. And I think that the unprocessed grief that we have experienced around believing different things than people that we really love, people that we call family, we get to become the experts on ourselves.
Right,
That's the only intuitive expertise that I will ever claim as something I can decide.
right,
Right? Because, like, what I say either resonates out there, or it doesn't for you as an individual. And that barometer, to me, there's some opportunity to cultivate that and really refine that as the barrage of information that half of it is just propaganda.
Exactly what I was going to say. There's so much of it. You flip different news channels, they're all telling you different things or the same thing. But, it's like when you talk to people that are actually there, they're like, that didn't happen that way. Yeah.
Hmm.
So we learned a lot of that during COVID and, just different perspectives, new selves. It's still advertising, you know, and it really does. And extra extra read all about it. It's been since the beginning of newspapers, I think. you know Beginning
Since the town crier, Tam.
town crier. It's like watching your own bobber and what's going on in your own reality at that moment is the only real perception of reality there is your own life.
Hmm.
And everybody has their own struggles and their own growth process that we're all going through right now. And that's why getting back to the heart center of what really matters is getting along and realizing that we might have been programmed by like I said, my Red Dawn dream. It's like that was programming back in the 80s. Our Gen X our Gen X fear was that the Russians were gonna come and get us at our school. uh,
Yeah, it's just such a weird collective time that we're in because some of the mixed signals I think that we're getting within ourselves are because some of us are just worn out with these two choices
right.
and recognize that there exists something well beyond this perceived, red team, blue team, option A, option B. And intuitively within our bodies, the communication, our discomfort, I think is one of the greatest signals that we have to move something within us.
Right.
When I mean, now it depends. It depends on the level of discomfort. Sometimes you can't move and you have to just be still. And there's for everything, there's a season, right? At other times, you have to move towards a solution actively, which
Right.
means you might have to like get up and do something. You know, it, I I like rating scales within the body, like for myself. I'll give myself like energetically check-ins. How's my, energy feeling, my hydration feeling? How's my nervous system regulation? I check in around my media consumption and my screen time. I'm very protective of that.
Yeah, you are.
That's a big thing that personally, Tam, one of the greatest tools that you helped me to realize with my own intuition and my own intuitive communication within myself was that if I did not feel called to watch something, don't.
Right.
Just don't.
Yeah, you don't need it in your I over the years, it's like scary movies or anything like that. It's like it's all programming. It all puts that fight or flight response in you. So
Mhm.
be protective of what I stream through my head. And I mean, I'm guilty of going on TikTok and watching goofy videos. I'm not, because that lifts my spirits, but I'm not going to watch something that's going to scare me anymore because
Right.
men out there as it is, I don't need anything to make me more scared, because I used to get into more of like the conspiracy theory stuff. And there's on all levels there's conspiracy theory stuff, because of my work in the paranormal.
Hmm.
Like, they're all going to come and get you. you know and that didn't bother me as much as everybody's like, oh, it's so scary. It's not scary when you're actually there. you know it's not scary when you're actually living it. It's just, we get so programmed in so many ways by so many things that we have to really watch what we put into our brains,
Well, we're
you know?
consuming. It's a level of consumption.
Right,
I feel like attention is a form of currency. And,
right.
I mean, people talk about energy as currency. And I think in this game of social media and some of the vying for people's attention, your
Right.
attention and what you focus on has a lot of value. Probably
Yes.
generating most of our experience, according to somebody like a Dolores Cannon or a Dr. Richard
Mm-hmm.
Bandler, right? If you look at neurolinguistic programming. Um, I heard something really cool the other day, and I thought this was a great way for somebody to check in with their body. And it was a client of mine, and I know that my own child, who's a grown man, has realized brilliantly to do this for himself. My client had said that they set a time limit daily for social media on their phone. There's like an app now that you can set a 10-minute and then you get locked out of the account for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I heard about that on Shark Tank. Yep.
So cool.
Yeah, there's ways of, because we're such addicts, to what, streaming videos or what have you. That a lot of people, it's just like, where did your day go? You know,
Well,
what?
there's a dopamine deficiency that's really going on now with folks interrupting sleep from like the blue light.
Mm,
I mean, like, people need to just research when they have sleep stuff. Okay, what am I consuming? How much am I on this? Like, I was concerned because I don't spend a lot of time in front of a computer because I'm with clients a lot.
right,
But I'm on my phone on my screen many days, for hours, from communicating with people to writing things to just how does that impact, you know, sleep? Because I think if our nervous systems are telling us we're tired, we're inflamed, we feel bloated in our gut, like look at hydration, look at sleep.
right.
Do the ring finger test and the thumb,
There you
right,
go.
Tam?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that.
And there is a way that you can do it too. I apologize. Um, Having somebody else do it for you. And that's putting your arms stretched out and having
Yeah,
pushed down,
muscle testing.
muscle testing. Yeah. So if you're not feeling comfortable with the ring finger, you can have somebody help you and do it that way.
See, to me, the body has its own intuitive intelligence that being housed by a soul, it's informing the body of what it is it's supposed to be learning
Right.
and growing and doing. It's not just this encasement as we've kind of made it out to be. And I know because ironically, like I was a giant head for a lot of years, very disconnected from my body.
Right.
Like, as many people, like sometimes once we stop doing sports in high school or in college, all of a sudden, it's like you might go to the gym, you might take a Pilates class, but you're not in your body,
Right.
And that intuitive barometer, like I tell folks, you're the expert on you. So when you're getting messages, Tam, if you're more rested, if you have greater hydration, if you're better fed, right? If you've been consuming the right kinds of frequencies and vibration, like in terms of like music and nature.
Right.
Don't you believe that your channel as an intuit, as a psychic, as a medium, your channel of communication flows in a more open way?
Well, you definitely not having effects of the body, right? If you're more rested, you're more able to tune in to the sensitive aspects of the energies if you're not feeling ill or depleted. You know, I've given some of my best readings when I've been sick as a dog, so I don't know if I can agree with that.
So tell me about that, Tam.
So that's why I'm just like
Fever? What kind of like illness? Like, tell us.
fever, fever
Mhm.
because I was burnt out. I burnt my body out, right? So I got a fever. Um, but that's the thing, you can override that when you're talking to spirit. And that's the thing. It's like when we can talk to spirit, and then my fever broke and I was fine. I was resisting something else in my life. That's what brought the fever on. It
Yeah.
in a position where people coming from hours away to come and see me. And I knew I wasn't contagious. It was just a fever I had. But I've had fevers my whole life that my body's trying to tell me something, right? But like I said, I've given some of my best work when I've been sick, so I don't know how to answer that question.
Wow.
But
That's interesting, Tam.
maybe I was closer to the veil at that time because I was not feeling.
Sounds like, oh God, I wasn't feeling good. I was closer. No,
I've heard other mediums talk about that too, about
that's interesting.
when you just, when you're talking to spirit, you're talking to spirit. Your body can kind of be put to the side for
That's
a minute.
true. If you're letting something move through you in the way that mediums do, it's not just an intuitive connection, it's actually physically through you.
I Right, and I actually felt
Yeah.
better after my session because I plugged into spirit.
Right.
I was receiving that energy, that Reiki energy through me.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually got better fairly quickly after the three readings I gave that day. And like I said, they were coming from too far away, so I didn't want to cancel. And I mean, their loved ones came through very, very clear. Like I said, maybe because I was on the edge of myself, feeling like I was, in heaven or could go to heaven soon because I was very ill. But like I said, the readings that day, I mean, and it's not the only time that's happened, you know, but, um,
Oh.
but so I don't know if I can agree with that. I think,
No, as a medium, you shouldn't agree with that given your experience. See, and
right,
I think so, yeah, so Tam, so there's a big difference between a medium and an intuit
right.
and somebody who's psychic.
Yeah, yeah. You're not getting it from your head, you're getting it from spirit, you know. What there is a saying that all mediums are psychics, but not all psychics are mediums.
Correct.
And I'm a psychic medium, you know.
Yes.
So I don't know what I don't know because I I've been able to connect with that realm my whole life that I remember at the age of 5 when I had high fevers when I was a little girl. Um, so I can't tell you how others feel like that. And I've heard other people say what you're saying about getting depleted. Like if you're not in your highest vibration, you can get really drained and depleted. But for me, that's been the opposite case. It's like if I'm working and pulling in spirit, I'm calling in that higher vibrational energy for myself just as much as the person sitting across from me.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. One of the things that I've worked with clients on has been when, and you and I have dialogued about this, Tam, when you have a gift or a talent that God has given you
Right,
and you're not using it.
right,
And that vortex of energy is just kind of spinning in you without purposeful utilization of that gift. It can work against us.
right,
And, that just to me is connected to what you're saying because you're in your purpose, in your gift, and you actually use your body as a medium
Right.
to allow spirit through. You can elevate yourself and benefit from that frequency within your body. Similar to how somebody like myself, who's more intuitive, could benefit from meditation and listening to 432 hertz.
Right.
And it's going to make me feel, I'm so auditory. I'm going
Yeah.
to hear it and then I'm going to feel it kinesthetically, and it's going to elevate me.
Right. Well, and you work with a lot more clients on an everyday basis of in and out of energies and frequencies. So your position in life is going to be keeping that frequency highly elevated, keeping your earth body highly elevated. You're very good at that. You're all of our teachers in that, Michelle. Um, like I said, I don't work as much with clients as for now as I used to. So I've had this little dip and valley. So it's like I haven't had that have had to plug into that frequency
Hmm.
other than for myself, which is kind of, idle minds the devil's playground sometimes.
Yes.
I have too
Yeah.
much time to overthink things, and that's when you get totally whack and off spirit. So I worked on myself yesterday because the energies the way they were, and
Good.
was able to get into a much better place because I knew I had to come on here today. So it's like anytime you have to work with the client, you have to work on yourself first.
You
For
have to show up. Exactly.
high vibrational, you have to work on yourself. And it's just the way it goes. I don't know why that is the way it is, but that's the way spirit likes it. It's like we're spinning out some of our dogma, some of our
Mm.
beliefs, some of our crap that no longer serves us. We're spinning that out right now because, like you said, the propaganda is so heavy and so thick about what a doomsday prediction that this is, and it's not. We're the light, and the light's coming in, and
Yeah.
that's why, like, we don't realize that there's a lot of people that still have a lot of fear since COVID, and now this new strain of things there's always something to be afraid of, isn't there?
There's always something to be afraid of. And yesterday, and I just want people to know that, there were people that were arrested, for trying to bring a not good virus.
Really? I hadn't heard. I haven't watched the news because
No,
I
it wouldn't have been. It was like you have to read it, right? It's not going to be on like the general kind of news thing. And it was folks that were tied to the same group of people that, COVID stuff was tied to.
really,
But they got them,
but they got them.
two scientists. And
Wow.
so, yeah, things are going to happen that life is going to keep lifing. How we respond to that, because that happened out there. You know
Right.
what I mean? It didn't even come into our fields, but yet the communication of the fear of the what if this happens again? The fear loops are what we're experiencing in our bodies, the nervous system dysregulation. It's never been as buzzy as it is.
Right.
Just in like news cycles, let alone in actual frequencies and cycles of our earth. And we were talking to him before about the Schumann resonance.
Hmm. Spiking high ever spiked in recorded history.
And that's kind of like the earth's, like that's her vibration,
Right.
right? That's what the Schumann, I mean, I know this. I know that our bodies will always tell us what it is that we need in terms of rest, right? in terms of hunger, in not necessarily food and snacks, hunger.
Right.
Um, we know when we've had enough of something. We even intuitively know what's really good for us and what really doesn't work for us. I find that we don't trust our gut and we don't trust that barometer enough to actually create a reality that we know we're the experts on us.
Right.
That's what I tell everybody is you're the expert on you. Do you
But
think, Tam, that we're the expert on our intuitions within ourselves?
yeah, I mean, but when we're struggling, that's when it is time to get a reading, you know, and get an outside perspective from spirit. Just because, I've gotten my own readings lately, just because it's like some of the things that have been going on in my life. Um, but we are the experts, and it's going to resonate. A reading is going to resonate with you because it's truth, and
Mhm,
you're going to get those goosebumps that you were looking for when you
mhm,
were spirit.
mhm,
We're we're all just walking each other home.
mhm.
Getting a session with somebody else is highly important because you can, when you're not quite getting the tune in and just thinking, is this wishful thinking, or is this, my own thinking, or is this just my fear? Because we don't want to manifest things with our own fear, right? That's why it's so important to get a reading or get back on track with our positive thinking, is because we don't want to manifest something out of our own fears and that have been put into our heads in many different ways, many different lifetimes.
I think that's a real path that we're seeing people have to consciously say, I'm going in a different direction.
Right,
That taking hold of that internal opportunity of what we consume and also, we shouldn't believe everything that we think.
right,
And right, that's the other thing. And also, I think internal communication intuitively, if we can be kind to ourselves as well as others, like when we were talking about coming from the heart,
right,
remembering to speak to ourselves
right.
as lovingly as we would speak to our children, our pets, our elders, the people that we adore in our lives. And to me, intuitively, some of the best messages that I get in, and again, this is the difference, intuitively, psychically, medium wise, all different levels and styles of communication, but the better care that I've given myself, the better care it is that I know I can help to provide to others. You know,
Absolutely.
you,
Absolutely.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you're loving on yourself, you're going to have a lot more love to give to others. That's just the way it goes. And that's why I worked on myself so much yesterday, because I was in kind of a Debbie Downer kind of place because of circumstances in my life not happening fast enough with
Yeah.
with my own health and wellness. And yeah.
Giving that grace to ourselves and
Mhm.
coming from our own heart within ourselves and giving our own light back to ourselves.
Right.
I think that's part of coming home to us.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
know, we've been so externalized, especially, as women. We give our love away, we give our intuition away, we give away a lot of light that I think we're learning to give to ourselves before we even give to others. and not even necessarily give as much, but possibly more to ourselves. So then we actually do have more reserves in the tank. Like there's in the dysregulation, there's real opportunities for folks to re regulate themselves and get support around what is my gut telling me? What is my intuition telling me? What signs are really in front of me with all the communication that's happening out there? What's the communication that's going on in here within me?
Right.
That is the place that I personally believe truth, begins like with the capital T is within us. And loving ourselves some more, I think is probably the number one tip that we could give to everybody in this time right now, intuitively.
Absolutely. And take doing what your body needs. If you need to nap, nap. If you need to just go outside and sit and just let it, stew in your juices for a while and do that. There's no race right now. And I think it's really important to know that there's no race to just be. Just being on this planet right now is a gift. And we don't know why things aren't speeding along the way they're supposed to be speeding. Our answers aren't there as fast as we want them sometimes. Um, but I know that was yesterday for me. It was just like a lot of time to sit and just be. And I think that's really important. We don't need the hustle. There's so much going on around us at all times that sometimes it's okay to just be and and wait for the energies to spin out and get back in alignment with ourselves. Like you said, our own. I listened to a lot of Louise L. Hay yesterday because I needed those positive affirmations because I know my programming was getting off whack, right? And
Yeah.
I forget the divine timing of things sometimes, being a Taurus and, being stubborn. I'm like, I want it now. And it's like, no, everything happens in divine timing. And we forget that sometimes because we've been wanting the planet to feel a little better for Mama's Earth. Mama Earth, I mean, we can monitor that now. We know Mama was like, hey, wake up, girls and boys. The resonance is spiking right now. Why is she spiking? She's feeling it too.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
feeling our aggression and our anger and everything too. So it's, spin it out and give her the love, that she
Mhm.
it is what I did yesterday. And I felt a lot better for it. Like I said, just being out in nature, hearing the birds, they're not worried about what's happening tomorrow. But birds stop when they're birds and nature's messages are out there everywhere.
The best communication that we can, I think, have within ourselves is from the heart and intuitively coming from, I would say, what it is that God Universe Service Provider is directing us towards to feel through. And the more that we can like feel through it, the more we can get to it. And the more I think our intuition can get to it, the more our collective can get to the business of every person coming home to themselves, every person belonging where it is that they're supposed to, and the actual Aquarian age fully kind of moving into the transformational period that we know it's to be. So we don't have to keep watching the old Pisces thing die out. That's where
Right.
we're headed, you
That's great.
know?